Former Presidents, Your Excellencies, honored guests, distinguished colleagues and friends. On behalf of Club of Skopje, an entity launched 3 years ago by the Institute of Cultural Diplomacy from Berlin, led by my dear friend, Mark Donfried, the International Central Alliance of Civilization and the Cabinet of President Ivanov, it is my distinct honor to welcome you to the third Skopje Cultural Diplomacy Forum. The Club of Skopje was established with a mission to raise awareness to the universality of fundamental human rights and international law, while working to advance social and economic development across the globe and strengthen intercultural relations between people and communities. It is dedicated to promoting democracy, global peace, and the fundamental values that underpin them: human rights, equality, development, non-violence, and shared prosperity. What distinguishes the Club of Skopje it is the inclusive and interdisciplinary foundation. It is led by an international group of senior statesmen and supported by experts from diplomacy, academia, and civil society. Through its work, ranging from international conferences and academic programs to research, policy dialogue, and public diplomacy, the club is focused on a paradigm of global engagement rooted in values, respect, and partnership. It is with this ethos that we are gathered here today to reaffirm our shared commitment to a more just, sustainable, and peaceful world, and to recognize the power of cultural diplomacy as a transformative force in achieving it. Honored guests, we're living through what Anthony Gramsci once described as an interregnum, a time between two eras. The old order no longer works, yet a new one has yet to be born. We face democratic backsliding, global governance fatigue, and geopolitical volatility. According to Freedom House, democracy has been in retreat for the past 17 years, with nearly 60 countries experiencing democratic backsliding just in the last decade. Furthermore, the trust in institutions is eroding. Peace remains elusive, not only between nations, but between communities and even within individuals. Global migration patterns are on the rise, driven by conflicts, economic disparities, and climate change. The global order faces challenges in addressing the needs and rights of migrants and refugees. The digital age presented new challenges in terms of data privacy, cyber attacks, and digital surveillance. The rise of nationalism and populism in various countries challenges the principles of international cooperation and multilateralism itself, potentially undermining global efforts to address common challenges. But while this moment is marked by profound challenges, it is also filled with possibilities. Cultural diplomacy offers us the tool to forge a new path, one built not on power, but on partnership and connection. Dear friends, we are gathered here today under the important topic, sustainable development and cultural diplomacy for fostering global partnership. But let us begin with a simple truth. Without peace, there can no be sustainable development. Sustainability is not just an environmental imperative, but is a social and cultural one. No investor will fund a future scorched by war, and no educational initiative will thrive in a community silenced by violence, while no democratic institution will endure where dialogue has been replaced by division. As Hannah Arendt reminded us, violence thrives where thinking ceases. Today, we recommit to the civic thinking, moral responsibility, and visionary leadership required to create peace as the enabling condition for global development. Furthermore, we often hear that to achieve peace, we need collective security. But this formula is flawed. What if it is peace that creates the conditions for collective security, not the other way around? Likewise, sustainable development and cultural diplomacy can become the engines of peace if we dare to elevate them from policy slogans to moral imperatives. Let's imagine development that is not imposed, but co-designed. Let's imagine diplomacy that is not extractive, but expressive. And let's imagine sustainability that speaks not only to climate, but to culture and consciousness. This is where partnership comes in, between North and South, East and West, between governments, civil society, academia, and business. The future we see cannot be built by any one actor alone in the vast coalition of consciousness. As we gather to foster new partnership, we must also acknowledge the timeless cycle that history has often repeated, a cycle that reminds us of a responsibility in shaping the present and the future. You all know, hard times create strong people, and strong people create good times create weak people, and weak people create hard times, only for the cycle to begin anew. We are at a pivotal moment in that cycle. The question is, will we rise to become strong stewards this era demands, or we will surrender to future of complacency and conflict? The answer lies not in fear, but in our collective courage to lead with purpose, to collaborate across cultures, and to embrace sustainability development as a duty, not just to our generation, but to those who will inherit the consequences of our actions. Dear participants, cultural diplomacy is more than a soft power, I believe, is a catalyst for solidarity. Or it is the bridge across civilizations, the voice of shared heritage and the architecture of empathy. When economies falter, it is the culture that reminds us of our common humanity. When politics divide, culture unites. As the Macedonian revolutionary Goce Delchev envisioned the world as a field of cultural competition, we now reinterpret that as a call to collaboration, a competition of goodness, as Saint Clement of Ohrid would say, a striving towards shared excellence, mutual learning, and global responsibility. The Undersecretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Miguel Angel Moratinos, the true champion of intellectual understanding, once said, "The time has come to shift the paradigms to positiveness and move from security to peace, from tolerance to respect of others, from minorities to citizenship rights, from coexistence to living together peacefully, from dialogue to an alliance and commitment to peace." These are not just poetic aspirations, they are practical imperatives. In a time when global partnerships are being redefined, when the climate demands cooperation, and when cultural diplomacy emerges as a lifeline of dialogue in a fractured world, we must embrace this shift. Sustainable development cannot succeed without peace, and peace cannot endure without a cultural understanding. So today in Skopje, let us commit not only to talk about peace and sustainability, but to live them courageously, cooperatively, and continually. On behalf of the Club of Skopje, ICD and ICSC, I welcome you to this forum, not just as participants, but also as partners. Thank you very much.